Connacht get a win when Scarlets thought they should have got a red instead. My name's Mark, let's talk rugby. Connacht got off to a great start in this one. So Hardy had a clearing kick from the Scarlets in zone 22. Niall Murray is able to charge it down. Ball squirts over the line and he gets there first to dot it down. Carty then misses the conversion, but it's 5-0 to Connacht in the first minute. From the kickoff then, Scarlets have sustained pressure on Connacht and finally force a penalty. Costello converts that one for 5-3. Connacht come back up the field then, and Scarlets are pinged for rolling the wrong way from the ruck. Carty puts something over for 8-3, and that's actually the first successful kick that he's had this season from the tee. There's then an extended period of kick tennis between the two teams, seeing who's going to blink first, and it's Connacht that make the mistake. McNichol gathers a wayward kick from Connacht. He jinks past Mac Hansen, and then Scarlets are in behind. He puts Evans away, and Evans goes in the corner. Costello then drags the conversion to the left and wide of the post. So it's 8-all after about 16 minutes. We then have a late no-arms tackle on Carty by Dan Thomas. Carty steps up, but he misses the penalty to the right. There's pretty difficult conditions for both teams here, as is often the case in the sports ground. Thomas then redeems himself a little bit. He wins a penalty at the breakdown, allows Scarlets to relieve some pressure. Scarlets then, from the line out, Connacht are getting up to disrupt, which they've done a couple of times, but a few times as well, Connacht, when they're disrupting, they've knocked it on. They did the same here. Doesn't really lead to anything. Both teams are being very aggressive in defence, quick off the line, and they're kind of stilting the attack of their opposition. We then have a good half break by Hansen, and that leads to another penalty to Connacht, and they put that one into the corner. They go for the line out for, driving maul, which you've seen a lot, but they're actually obstruct in the line out. So then it's a penalty to Scarlets. Scarlets are able to clear again. Connacht then pinch the Scarlets line out. They put the ball through the hands across the pitch. There's some lovely handling in the move. The ball gets out wide and it looks like, they might make a break down the wing, but there's actually poor pass, which was probably the easiest of any of the ones in the move. So move breaks down. The referee, though, was playing advantage, and Carty strokes over the penalty for 11-8. Boyle then concedes a penalty from the restart, and Costello squares us back up at 11-all at about 30 minutes. Connacht then force a knock on the Scarlets 22. They get possession, getting pretty close to the line, but they can't get over. They looked a bit hesitant. They had a chance to maybe spin the ball out wide, but they were so slow that Scarlets were able to get in and disrupt. The referee is playing advantage, and Connacht decide to opt for the scrum from the penalty. It's right under the post. Boyle picks from the back, but there's a lot of pressure coming on them from the Scarlets. He decides that he's going to pick and run around the side of the scrum. The scrum actually crabs the same way that he runs, so it takes him so long to get around. It looks like they've blown any chance. But Connacht get the ball out quickly. Carty with a peach of a pass over to Mac Hansen. He is a one-on-one and he's able to finish in the corner. Conversion is missed, 16-11 to Connacht. Scarlets have been targeting the breakdown where they've noticed that Connacht aren't really committing numbers there. They're able to drive over them a number of times and secure turnover ball, but they're not really able to do much with it. Connacht then, just as the half is coming to an end, they make a break down the right wing. Hansen has evolved twice, and Porch is in there as well. He shows some gas to really make meters out on the right wing. The ball makes its way to Oliver, who is then stopped a couple of meters shy of the line. He gets isolated, and it looks like the referees awarded a penalty, but also looked like the ball may have gone forward in finding its way to Oliver in the first place. Either way, the referee's blown up for half time. Connacht have a slight advantage. They were playing with the wind as well, so Scarlets probably felt that they'd be able to come back at them in the second half. Scarlets then, second half, they do start it on the front foot. They're putting the ball through the hands, but there's difficult, windy, rainy conditions, and a lot of their moves are breaking down, not coming to much. Connacht win a penalty. they're able to kick it into the 22. They go for the driving line out, and Scarlets concede a couple of penalty advantages as Connacht were kind of doing a lot of pick and goes and stuff. And the referee would call advantage a couple of times, I think. Then the biggest talking point of the game happens. So Connacht are right on the line, and it looks like they're maybe, if they can recycle a few times, they might get over. Referee blows the whistle. First of all, assuming that, he's going to award one of the two penalties that Connacht have advantage for. But then we see the replay, and Boyle, he's clearing out Price at the ruck, and he's basically trying to roll him out of the way. But as Price is kind of like standing up a little bit, he ends up dragging him over the ruck and onto his head. And the referee then is talking about the fact that Price's head started close to the ground, and therefore that's mitigation to bring it from a red down to a yellow. So Boyle gets a yellow and he's off. When I was watching it live, I have to be honest here, when I was watching it live, I thought referees made a good decision there. Yellow is pretty fair in the circumstances, but I can see how, if you're a Scarlets fan or even just a Welsh fan, how you would see that as a nailed on red, because there is some force there. It's contact to the head. It's dangerous play. But it's one of these red cards that, depending on what side of it you're on, it's going to cause controversy. So if in the case as it is, he gets a yellow, Scarlets fans are going to be incensed, and the Scarlets players weren't happy either that it wasn't a red. And it's going to be a big talking point for them. If, though, Boyle gets a red card, then Connacht fans are going to say, well, why is he giving a red card for that? Like, what's rugby coming to, et cetera, the kind of stuff that we hear a lot about now. And so it's one of those reds or yellows or whatever, the referees, whatever decision the referee's going to make on that, it's the wrong decision for one set of supporters. And in this case, he went for yellow. As I said, I felt that it was probably the right decision, but I absolutely can see how it was a red. And I also acknowledge the fact that there's probably a little bit of Irish bias in my viewing it as a yellow. And maybe if things were reversed, or maybe it was against my team Leinster, I would be calling for a red too. So it's one of those ones where it's where exactly is the line for it. Connacht then, they're down to 14 men, but they actually played the better of the two teams in the yellow card period, and they managed to get a try. They have a driven maul in the 22. From the line out, Prendergast goes up, he collects it. He's been really good in the line out for Connacht, both attacking and defending as well. He's the one that's been getting over there and disrupting the Scarlets line out. Ongear then breaks off. He's got a couple of mates with him, and he's able to drive over in the corner. Conversion is missed for 21-11 to Connacht. Not too long after, Patchell slots a penalty for 21-24. We got just over 20 minutes to go. At that point, Connacht come back though, and Scarlets are pinged for offside. Carty feels it's just about outside his range, so Hawkshaw steps up. He puts it over for 24-14. By this stage then, we're back to 15 each. Scarlets put in probably one of their best moves of the night, but that one breaks down, and it's kind of what's been happening with the conditions here a lot. Like, you've seen a lot of decent rugby, and then it's just that one lapse in skill, and then like there's a breakdown, there's a knock on or something like that. But Duggan was offside for Connacht. Patchell decides to take the shot. I know there were people were thinking around that time, like, why aren't we going for like a try instead of that? Like, because it might have been kind of an obvious thing if you want to go for the win. But then they might have just wanted to come back and keep the scoreboard a bit closer. So Patchell takes a shot. He misses though. Scarlets were, they were trying to come forward, but Connacht I think they managed, like pretty much from when they got the yellow card to the end of the game, they managed it pretty well. What they were doing was they weren't committing too many men to the ruck, so they weren't really competing for the ball. They were just relying on their defense. They made sure they always had numbers there, and they were basically relying on the fact that the Scarlets were going to make a mistake at some point, and most of the time they were right. We then have some pressure coming from Connacht. What happened was, so Patchell kicks dead. The wind might have played a factor in this one because it is pretty breezy there, and they were playing with the wind. Connacht get a scrum back, and that gives them a bit of a foothold in the Scarlets half. They're able to make their way into the Scarlets 22. They're pounding away at the line, and Scarlets are keeping them out, but they are conceding a raft of penalties. The referee at one point said that he's playing advantage for 5 different penalties. So when he eventually blows up, then Callum Mahoney, he gets a yellow card for side entry, and it was like a very cynical side entry as well. It wasn't like, basically Connacht were driving a maul, and he just walked up the side of the maul, not even trying to disguise it, and took the guy out. But there were like 4 other penalties as well that advantage was being played for. Connacht then, they decide that they're going to go for the line out. Kick to the corner. They're driving the maul from that line out. Scarlets come in and collapse it. Thomas then gets a yellow card as well. So Scarlets are down to 13. Referee also awards a penalty try to Connacht. At that stage then, it's 31-14. So the game is pretty much gone for Scarlets because there isn't that much left. I think maybe about 4 minutes or so. So Scarlets at this point then, they're not looking for like a losing bonus point or, anything like that. They're just looking to get a consolation score in the second half. And they're on attack, but again, handling lets them down. There's a knock on. The ball is kicked through then. Hansen goes on the chase. He gets to the ball first. He nudges it on. And then I'd say, like, if the game was tighter at this point, this would have been another very big talking point of the game. So Hansen gets there, and I think he's going with, it's McNichol, right? I think McNichol is covering back. And the two of them basically get to the ball at the same time. And referee goes to the TMO and says he can't see conclusive proof that Hansen has indeed grounded the ball first. So the TMO looks at the replays a bunch of times, and he decides that Hansen has just by a split second got his hand on the ball first before McNichol. Now, like, maybe it was like frame by frame kind of thing, like he might have done it. But again, it's one of those ones where if it's for you or against you, you're not going to agree with the decision, because you could easily see an argument for the fact that McNichol touched the ball then at the same time. But referee does award the try. That makes it then 36-14, and that's how we ended. So as I said, like, the main talking point from the Scarlets' point of view is going to be the red card. Do I think that at that stage, if the red card had been awarded, that Scarlets would have gone on and won the game? I don't think so. I think that Connacht showed enough when they were down to 14 with the yellow card. They had enough in the tank to win that game, even with 14. And Scarlets on attack didn't show enough in terms of, being able to unlock that Connacht defence when Connacht were standing off, and also being able to, when they were able to create some space, they were putting their skills under pressure, and their skills are found wanting in the conditions. Now, a lot of teams will find that at the sports ground. It's often windy, it's often rainy, it's slippery. Now, in terms of the Scarlets, like, they do need to. I think if I'm a Scarlets fan, what I'm worried about is the performance. But there were a couple of good performances, like Callum Mahoney. He looked very busy all night. He often was the one that they went to where they wanted the ball trucked up for the hard yards, and he was in there as well, like, making a nuisance of himself. Thomas, then, who is like, they only brought him in like from, I believe it was from Bristol, right? They brought him in as emergency injury cover. He had a great game too. Like, he was winning turnovers, winning penalties, disrupting Connacht ball a lot. From Connacht's point of view, then, I think Carty definitely had a better game this week. Hansen was pretty good. Porch has been, previous to this season, I haven't watched that much of Connacht, especially like full games. But Porch has been really impressive this season. But then the guy who stood out as well was Oliver. He was there making a nuisance as well at the breakdown. He's really good with link play as well. And I believe he was the one that got the man of the match. In terms of the two teams after this, Connacht are going to be obviously happy with a second win, and that this one was a bonus point win. And also that their attack fired really well today as well. Plus, their defense, which has looked shaky, was better. We saw some improvements against Leinster, but then they went up another step here, especially when they were down to 14 men. From the Scarlets' point of view, then, other than the piece of individual brilliance that led to the try, they didn't really produce anything to worry Connacht in attack. They were pretty good at the breakdown, though. They got a lot of turnover balls, so that's definitely a positive to take from this. But the fact that they couldn't actually do anything with that ball is very worrying. Now, obviously, the big talking point for Scarlets fans from this is going to be that incident of the red card that they felt it was that wasn't given. But I think the thing to worry about most is that they don't really have a cutting edge in attack, and I don't think they have a strong enough defense to eke out wins either. So there's a lot of work-ons for them going forward. So what did you think of the Boyle incident? Nailed on red card, or did the referee make the right decision?